Our first question says, which expression has the least value when x is equal to 100? So I'm going to look at my answer choices here, and everywhere where there is an x, I'm going to plug in 100. So A would be 1 over 100, B would be 10 over 100, C would be 1 minus 100, and D would be 10 minus 100. Now, you can change your fractions to decimals, or you can choose to leave them as fractions, either way. So if I change 1 over 100 to a decimal, that is 0.01. 10 out of 100 would be 1/10, so that is 0.1. 1 minus 100 is negative 99, and 10 minus 100 would be negative 90. Now we want the least value here. So when I'm looking at these answer choices, I can see that A and B are positive and C and D are negative. So that tells me that I can just go ahead and eliminate these positive answer choices, because a negative number, no matter what the number is, a negative number will always be smaller than a positive number. So now I need to look and see if negative 99 or negative 90 is smaller. And remember, when we're talking about negative numbers, the further away you get from 0, the less the number is. So negative 99 would be further away from 0 than negative 90, and that tells us that negative 99 is the smallest answer. So C here would be the least value. Our next question says, a library has 12,500 fiction books and 19,000 nonfiction books. Currently, 2/5 of the fiction books are checked out, 2/5 of the nonfiction books are checked out, and of the books checked out, 1/10 are due back this week. We want to know how many books are due back this week. So the first thing I need to do is figure out how many books are checked out. And it tells us that 2/5 of the fiction books are checked out. And there are 12,500 fiction books. So I need to figure out what 2/5 of 12,500 is. There's a couple different ways you can do this. So you can look at 2/5, and if you know off the top of your head that as a decimal, 2/5 will give you 0.4, then you can just multiply 0.4 times 12,500. If you don't know that, then you would take your fraction 2/5 and you would multiply that by 12,500. So 2/5 times 12,500, and I'm going to set this over 1 because it's a whole number. And 2 times 12,500 give us 25,000. And 5 times 1 gives us 5. And then I'm going to simplify 25,000 over 5. So 5 can go into 25,000 5,000 times. So that tells us that there are 5,000 fiction books checked out. Now, if you did 0.4 times 12,500, you would get the same exact thing. Our second bullet point tells us that 2/5 of the non-fiction books are checked out, and we know that there's 19,000 non-fiction books. So I'm going to do the same exact thing here. So I'm going to take my fraction 2/5, and I'm going to multiply that by 19,000. Again, I'm going to set that over 1 because it's the whole number. And 19,000 times 2 would give us 38,000 over 5. And if we simplify that, 38,000 divided by 5 would give us 7,600. So there are 5,000 fiction books checked out and 7,600 nonfiction books checked out. Now it says, of the books checked out, 1/10 are due back this week. So we need to figure out how many total books are checked out. So if 5,000 fiction books are checked out and 7,600 nonfiction books are checked out, total, that means that there are 12,600 books checked out. Got an extra 0 there, sorry. 12,600. Now I'm going to take the 12,600 and I want 1/10 of that. So I can multiply that by a decimal as 0.1, or I can multiply it as a fraction, 1 over 10. Either way, you will get the same answer. So 12,600 times 1 gives us 12,600 over 10. And if I divide 12,600 by 10, I can simply just cross off a 0 here. That's going to give me 1,260 for my final answer. Our next problem says Kevin is paid $8.80 per hour. He works 7 hours. He gave his mother a quarter of his earnings. How much did Kevin have left? So the first thing we need to figure out is how much Kevin made. So he gets $8.80 per hour and he works for 7 hours. I'm going to go ahead and multiply this. So 0 times 7 is 0. 8 times 7 is 56. I would carry my 5. And then 8 times 7 again is 56, plus 5 would give us 61. So Kevin earns $61.60. Then he gives his mother 1/4 of this. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can take 6160 and we can multiply it by 1/4 like we did in the last examples. If you know that 1/4 as a decimal is 0.25, then you could multiply it by 0.25. Or we can just divide it by 4. Because if I take 6160 and I multiply that by 1 straight across, it's going to give me 6160 over 4, which means all we're doing here is dividing 6160 by 4. So 4 goes into 6 one time. We would have 2 left over. Bring down the 1. 4 goes into 21 5 times. That gives us 20. And we have 1 left over. 4 goes into 16 4 times, and we have nothing left over. So that means he gives his mother $15.40. Now we need to figure out how much he has left. So he earned $61.60. He gave his mom $15.40. So to figure out what he has left now, I need to subtract. So I'm going to say 6160 minus 1540. And that is going to give us $46.20 remaining, which would be our answer. Our next problem says Craig earns the same amount of money each month. His telephone bill is 1/20th of his monthly earnings, and he pays a total of $720 each year for his telephone service. How much does Craig earn each month in dollars? So when I look at this problem, I notice that this says each month, but then this says each year, and then we want our answer in terms of months. So the first thing I'm going to do here is figure out if he pays a total of $720 each year, how much is he paying each month? There are 12 months in a year, so we're going to take 720 and we're going to divide that by 12. And that would tell us that he's paying $60 per month on his cell phone. Now, it tells us that his cell phone bill is 1/20th of his monthly earnings. So the $60 that he is paying is 1/20th of his monthly earnings. We want to know for 1 full month. So now I need to think about from 1/20th how I would get to 1 whole. And I would have to take 1/20th and multiply that by 20 because I need 20 sets of 1/20th to get to 20 over 20. So now I'm going to take 60 and I'm going to multiply that by 20, and that is going to give me $1,200 for my answer. And lastly, which choice has a value that is closest to the value of the following expression? So we are doing 17 over 12 minus 49 over 40. And the first thing I need to do when I add or subtract fractions is find a common denominator. So my common denominator is going to be my least common multiple. So if I list out my multiples of 12, I have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96, 108, 120, and so on. If I list out my multiples of 40, I have 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, and so on. So my least common multiple here would be 120. So I'm going to take 17 twelfths and I'm going to multiply that by 10. And I'm going to take 49 40ths, so I'm going to multiply that by 3. 17 times 10 is going to give us 170 over 120 minus 49 times 3 gives us 147 over 120. And now I'm going to subtract these fractions. So 170 minus 147 is going to give us 23 over 120. Now, when I look at my answer choices, they all have different denominators. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I have 120. So because I don't want to have to find a least common denominator for all those numbers, because that might take a while, I'm going to change these to decimals and compare. So to change to a decimal, you're simply going to divide. So 23 divided by 120 would give us 0.1916. I'm just going to round this to 0.19. Now we should already know our decimal for 1/4, and that would be 0.25. Our decimal for 1/5 would be 0.20. Our decimal for 1/6, so do 1 divided by 6 on the calculator, and you would get 0.17. And our decimal for 1/7 would be 0.14. And now I want to know which one is the closest to 0.19. So this would be 0.06 away. This would be 0.01 away. This one would be 0.02 away, and this one would be 0.05 away. So the one that is the closest would be B here. Also, if you just look at the back numbers, 19 is the closest to 20.